All right, let's start with some breaking news that has just come in, where after the poor performance in the British general elections, Labour Party's leader Jeremy Corbyn has said that he will not be leading his party into another election. This is the latest that is coming in from Britain, where Jeremy Corbyn, who had tried to challenge the Prime Ministership of Boris Johnson, has now stated that he will not be leading his party into another election campaign. That's a pretty frantic day in United Kingdom as the counting is underway across the country in what is a monumental election for the nation. Now, for the first time since counting began, the Conservatives have in fact managed to pull ahead of Labour and are now in a clear lead. But it remains to be seen as to how much of a lead they are able to keep up. Now, the latest that is coming in, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has managed to retain his seat of Islington North with about 64% of the vote share. No surprises there, as he has represented the constituency since 1983. Now, Jeremy Corbyn has also said that he will not be leading the Labour Party into any further election campaigning. So this is what the trends look like at this point of time, with the Conservatives of Boris Johnson leading or having 163, while the Labour Party is trailing, having won or leading in about 111 constituencies. And Jeremy Corbyn has also said that he'll soon be stepping down as the Labour leader once the party finishes introspection on the results. So the exit polls earlier had predicted an outright majority for the Conservatives led by Boris Johnson. The Conservatives are predicted to win about 357 seats, while the Labour has now come down to just 201 seats. Now, if these figures do end up holding, then this would mean a huge reversal for the Labour Party and for Jeremy Corbyn. In fact, it would be the worst ever election result for the Labour Party. Now, for the Conservatives, it is indeed a Merry Christmas. The exit poll numbers, in fact, represent the biggest win ever for the Conservatives since 1987. Now, on account of the exit polls, the British pound has surged to its highest level in almost about 3.5 years against the euro. All right, so let's now take a look as to what these exit poll numbers actually would mean. For one, this, of course, is a huge blow for Labour and a clear rejection of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership. Remember, he'd been accused of anti-Semitism throughout the campaign, but he has not apologised for it despite having had the chance to do so. On Brexit, Corbyn's position was too ambiguous. He wanted to renegotiate a deal with the European Union and present it as an option in a new referendum. Now, Corbyn may have misjudged the average British voter who wanted to put the mess of Brexit behind them. For Boris Johnson, though, these numbers could not be better. He will have the numbers to try and push through his Brexit deal. But remember, the opposition to his Brexit deal is not just from the opposition, but also from his own party members. And that has, of course, been his stumbling block. He would try to get through the deal through the House of Commons and try get Brexit done, as he's been repeatedly saying, by the end of January. Now, the majority is, of course, quite a mandate in favour of Johnson and his leadership, and this could very well be the biggest Tory victory in almost about 30 years. Now, on to the current numbers now. Most of the seats that have been announced are from the northeastern part of the United Kingdom, where the Labour seems to be doing reasonably well. Now, the House of Commons Speaker, Lindsay Hoyle, has won his seat from the Cawley constituency, and some high-profile seats have also been wrested by the Tories from the Labour Party. Now, Blyth Valley, for example, had never been won by the Tories until today. Now, Darlington, another seat, has been held by Labour since 1992 and has been won by the Conservatives this time round. In Scotland, things are going as expected for the Scottish National Party. They have so far won about 18 of the total declared seats in Scotland and are way ahead with more than 48% of the vote share. Now, the Scotland Nationalist Party's election pitch was not Brexit. They spoke about another independence referendum and have now retained and have even expanded on their core vote bank. If these trends hold, it will, of course, be a great boost for the Scottish Nationalist Party's demand for more autonomy. Now, these, we're given to understand, are live visuals that are coming in from London, where Boris Johnson is looking pleased as punch with the results and trends that are coming in. He's now leading or has won 170 of the seats, and the Labour, of course, is trailing behind him. And the Liberal Democrats. Now, this of course, was an interesting party to watch out for, but it seems to be trailing far behind, having either won or leading in just about 6 constituencies.
Known as Lord Buckethead. The official monster raving loony party, 125. Burke Norma, independent, 22. Courtney Jeffrey Dennis, UK Independence Party, 283. Humphreys Joanne Ilone, Liberal Democrats to Stop Brexit, 3,026. Johnson Alexander Boris de Pfeffel, commonly known as Boris Johnson, the Conservative Party candidate, 25,000. 25,351. Keir Mark Allen, Green Party, 1,090. Milani Ali Reza, Labour Party, 18,141. Smith Robert Jr., commonly known as Bobby Elmo Smith, 8. Tobin William John, 5. Utting Alfie John, Independent, 44. Jorgenstein Yace, commonly known as Yace Interplanetary Time Lord Jorgenstein, 23. The number of rejected ballot papers was 93, and I hereby declare that the said Boris Johnson is duly elected.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Acting Returning Officer. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all very much. Now, listen, I don't want to tempt fate, because clearly lots of results are still coming in, and we're still only dealing with projections. But at this stage, it does look as though this One Nation Conservative government has been given a powerful new mandate to get Brexit done. And not just to get Brexit done, but to unite this country and to take it forward and to focus on the priorities of the British people and, above all, on the NHS. And yes, we will recruit 50,000 more nurses and 6,000 more GPs, and we will build 40 new hospitals. And I'm proud to say that one of those across the country, and one of those hospitals will be right here in Uxbridge and South Ruislip. And I'm grateful once again to the people of Uxbridge and South Ruislip for returning me to serve you. It is an absolute privilege to do this job and to work for you. And I thank once again the police, the council, everybody who's worked so hard all night to count for us, the returning officers. I thank my fellow candidates in all their glory, Lord Buckethead, and others, Elmo and others. Forgive me if I don't identify them all. But above all, I want to thank the people of this country for turning out to vote in a December election that we didn't want to call, but which I think has turned out to be a historic election that gives us now, in this new government, the chance to respect the democratic will of the British people, to change this country for the better, and to unleash the potential of the entire people of this country. And that is what we will now do, and if we are lucky enough to be returned, as the exit polls seem to suggest, then that work will begin tomorrow. Thank you all very much. Or rather, I should say not tomorrow, today. Today. Thank you all. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Hope you get a DC, mate.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was Boris Johnson there, stating that he feels pretty confident that the projections and the trends that are coming through, that he will be able to come through with a comfortable victory. And we also, just a little while back, heard the returning officer announce that Boris Johnson has won in the constituency that he was contesting. So this of course, is a huge boost for Boris Johnson, who, remember, had called these snap polls because he simply was not able to get his Brexit deal passed on the floor of the House, in the House of Commons. But remember, the challenge is not just to win this election. The challenge is also from within his party, where he needs to convince his own parliamentarians, members of his own party, the Tory party, that the deal that he's got, that he's negotiated with the European Union, is of course the best deal that Britain can get at this point of time. So get Brexit done. This of course was the slogan that appears to have resonated with the British public. But on the other hand, it's been a bit of a loss of face for the Labour Party that was hoping to in fact capitalise on the confusion that Brexit had led. In the year 2016 is when the British people had voted in a referendum to leave European Union. They were trying to bank on the uncertainty surrounding Brexit, but that clearly has not worked for Jeremy Corbyn, and many have even said that this is a clear rejection of Jeremy Corbyn's leadership, which is one of the reasons why that he's now come forward and said that he will not be leading the Labour Party for another election campaign. Let's listen into what Jeremy Corbyn has said after these leads and projections have come through.
I want to also make it clear that I will not lead the party in any future general election campaign. I will discuss with our party to ensure there is a process now of reflection on this result and on the policies that the party will take going forward. And I will lead the party during that period to ensure that discussion takes place and we move on into the future.
All right, so that is Jeremy Corbyn there virtually conceding defeat, saying that he will not be leading the Labour Party in any future election campaigns. And it'll be very interesting to see as to what the final tally in fact looks like. But the way the trends and the projections go, it appears that the Conservatives, the Tories, are likely to get an 88-seat majority on the floor of the House. But the challenge is twofold. It is to get a majority on the floor of the House and also to convince the Tory members themselves that the deal negotiated by Boris Johnson is the only way forward. All right, so it will not be wrong to say that before the Brexit vote, nobody in fact took Boris Johnson seriously. So as Brexit took down one Prime Minister after another, Boris Johnson, despite his quirks, his blunders and his remarkable hairstyle, has managed to secure Britain's top job, and it looks like he is going to be the next Prime Minister with this election that just took place yesterday. So let's now take a look at the profile of the man who may and who has promised to deliver Brexit to Britain.
The year was 2012. London was hosting the Olympic Games, and Boris Johnson was serving as the mayor of the city. To celebrate his country's first gold medal, Mr. Johnson chose to ride a newly installed zip line. The stunt stole the limelight away from the winners, but the buzz did not last for long. Boris Johnson found himself dangling mid-air minutes after he mounted himself on that zip line. This moment personifies the political situation of Great Britain. Last month, Mr. Johnson, now the Prime Minister of his country, found himself stuck yet again, this time with Brexit. With the Parliament refusing to play ball, the British Prime Minister found no other option but to call for another election, the third one in 4 years.
That Boris Johnson is elected as the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party.
Today, Boris Johnson is the front runner for Prime Ministership. But a few years ago, no one would have taken him seriously. Mr. Johnson has the right CV for the top job. He was schooled at the elite Eton College. He later went to Oxford University, a path that many British Prime Ministers have taken. But many dismissed Johnson as a lightweight due to his gaffe-prone approach to politics. Boris Johnson earned fame as the Brussels correspondent for The Telegraph. His reportage made waves for its criticism of the European Union. Boris Johnson even worked for The Times. but did not last very long. He was fired for manufacturing a quote. After working as a journalist for many years, he made the switch to politics. Johnson was elected Mayor of London in 2008 and served for 2 terms. But he gained worldwide fame for his aggressive campaign in favor of Brexit.
When you look at the EU now, it makes me think, as I've just been walking around this wonderful factory, it makes me think of some badly designed undergarment that has now become too tight in some places, far too tight, far too constrictive, and dangerously loose in other places.
It was comments like these that would come in handy when the exit of David Cameron triggered a leadership contest within the Conservatives. While Johnson did not win, he was rewarded handsomely. Under Theresa May's leadership, he would serve as the Foreign Secretary. Earlier this year, Theresa May announced that she was stepping down. Johnson got another chance to fight for the Prime Ministership, and he won. Johnson is the second Prime Minister to attempt a Brexit deal, but even he could not get it done. So what's next? Even if he wins the election, Johnson's own party is split over the Brexit plan. Moreover, he faces a massive campaign for yet another referendum. This could trigger more chaos in British politics. But Boris Johnson might just relish that. Bureau Report, Wion, World is One.